good, dude. When you look at me, I look tired. I will have to work in the future, but I will escape the kind of current prison I'm in right now.
Right.
You know?
Right.
And I'll have my
Which
weekends,
is like the rat race?
Yeah, and I'll have my weekends back. Like, I'll be able to take my kids, like, you know, see the wife, like, spend there's no greater motivator than mouths to feed, and it's not one for me. I view it as life or death.
And how much conviction do you have that within yourself?
2,000%.
And have you always had that? Or is that something that developed?
I think I've always had confidence, but I think I've always been like, try to do things in silence instead of documenting my whole life or my whole journey. And then when I get to a new mountain, sit there, soak it in, you know. But like, I'm not a big personal publicist.
You're not a talker, you're a doer.
Yeah, I'm not really a personal. I will say I'm not the biggest hype man publicly for myself. You know. And I think a lot of that is it's not like as simple as like talk is cheap, but I think that there's a lot of power in just like doing and letting others kind of see and observe, and instead of constantly having to like remind everyone that like, you know, I should be here and I'm going to tell you why I should be here, and I don't know. So that's kind of been the approach I've always felt. And I don't know if it's like this weird complex of like not wanting attention on me or what, you know, but there's something that I've never liked to be too public.
Is it safe to say sometimes you work yourself to exhaustion?
Every week.
Right.
It's not even safe, it's a fact, and it's a problem.
You would think someone that works themselves to complete exhaustion, the efficiency and the productivity of the individual would be compromised.
Yeah.
But how is it that you're so locked in? Like, what is your, like, what
I think that I think that I know I take myself too seriously. I know that. I know that I've sacrificed my like personal relationships and probably mental health, like with kids, that I've always put them first and foremost. And I don't see my friends enough. I don't take enough time for myself. Like this right here, a haircut is like a vacation for me. Like the amount of joy I get out of this is just incredible. You know?
I love to hear that, bro. I love to hear that.
Yeah. I mean, it's just like, I'm going to go back to the house and be just refreshed, you know? And yeah, so, you know, I got to find ways to do more things like this. Sometimes I think get in that zone of where I go like this really weird place where you block everything out. Sometimes I can get in that state of just almost like forgetting time, to where I'll pop my head up and like 3 hours will have gone by.
How do you lock into that, would you say?
Hyper anxiety that can be crippling, but when you can channel it, I think that's it. To an extent, it's horrible, right? Because you get sick from it. But it's a good form of like kicking. I don't know if it's a kick in the ass or what it is.
Right. It doesn't allow you to just be complacent and idle.
And right. So the downside of that is so that you probably end up overdoing it. But you overdo it to an extent where you guarantee never having that failure that you originally feared from. So it's like this circle, right? It's like, okay, I have this anxiety, I can't do this, and so I'm super anxious about it, so I'm just gonna like go completely overboard to make sure that doesn't happen. And then you look back and you're like, oh, I did that, but there's no chance of failing, and I probably overdid it. So then you think, all right, next time, like, let's remember that experience, right? Let's scale it back a little bit. Like, let's do it. Like, let's scale it back on the stress. In a perfect world, right? Like and not in a lazy way, but in the most efficient way possible. You put in as little energy as possible to get the result you need.
Make sure you take care of yourself too, brother. Like, you're doing all this for your kids, but additionally, if you don't take care of your body and your mental health and like, you know what I mean, then you're not even like, everything you're working for doesn't even matter, because like they need you more than anything.
I read a story that it scared me to death, and it prompted me to kind of think hard and long about what you just said, because there's this banker, 35-year-old guy, 2 kids, working at Bank of America, working 80-hour weeks or 100-hour weeks, and had a heart attack and died, and it made like the news, and one of the guys commenting on it was like a professional recruiter that the guy talked to the week before.
Yeah.
And like the guy's like last thing he said before he died to the recruiter was like, I'll trade a 30% pay cut for like 20% more sleep. The recruiter was lining him up literally with a job like a boutique, and the dude was ready to ink it and frickin' paper the whole contract and be ready.
Yeah.
And boom, it's over. Yeah.
A lot of people would think you're already in like the perfect situation.
I know, we talked about it.
Yeah.
Dude, it's like this quote unquote American dream, and it's, you know, it's like when you ask your friends, like, how are you? You know, I'm good, you know, it's everyone, those 3 words should actually be answered honestly.
Yeah.
And it's tough because society's trained men, especially, to never answer that honestly.
I know, right? That's why the barbershop is so important, because like a lot of times men don't get that.
Yep. Yeah, it's crazy. And the scariest thing is plateauing. Like, you know, the concept of a true retirement, like the Corona commercials, scares me to death.